Rich Alvarez hates Popeye.
No, Popeye hates Rich Alvarez.
One leads to another.
I remember I fucking posted that on the Rich Alvarez Discord, and people were like, "We need proof." Prove it.
What?
That Popeye actually hates Rich Alvarez.
It's canon.
People were standing him.
Oh, yeah, we're going.
We need proof. We need proof that Popeye hates Rich Alvarez. People are standing.
Ooh, I'm not.
Hey, Twitter world.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Listen to that
Your
sucker burn. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna throw an entire dresser into this fire.
Oh shit!
Twitter world.
O.J. Simpson says hey Twitter world and falls into a fire.
He says, "Fuck Twitter world, get me out of here."
He like fucking tries to throw the dresser, but he ends up throwing his own weight off, so he fucking falls.
He says, "Suplexes are unblockable moves, Twitter world." You can't handle it. You can't handle it. So I got you in a headlock and I threw you underneath my arm and threw into a fire. My entire body and your body also. You'd be dead, Twitter world. Anyways, welcome to Halloween. We're having a fire story time again.
It's very spooky. Just like last year when we did our first. Oh, that's burning up nicely.
The dresser is on fire.
Yes, we have a bonfire as we did for our last Halloween special, and we just threw an
old shelf.
yes. I'll cut that so I sound smarter.
Okay.
Entertainment center.
An entertainment center.
There we go.
Just cut that.
We just threw on an entertainment center under the fire, and it's already burned a hole through the back of it.
Cut it. So cut it and edit the voice so it sounds like you said it.
Like the fire is coming through the center of the entertainment center. It looks very funny.
It is. Oh shit! It just spat up some shit.
Happy Halloween, everybody. So nice to be back out here at the scenic behind my house.
I love holiday specials.
Same. Happy Samhain, my dudes.
We get to write our own stories. I don't know if I would love this as much as if we did it every time. Probably not. But when we do it, since it's like 4 times a year, I do love it. It is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like writing the fan fictions are probably some of my favorite episodes that we've ever done.
Mm.
But like I could not keep up that steam every 2 weeks trying to come up with something new.
Yeah, very
And plus
true.
it's fun when we have like the theme of the holiday and not just whatever we decide to think about.
Yeah, it gives it a good jumping off point.
For
So,
sure.
yes, we don't need to have any sort of like stipulations or whatever, how we always talk about what's your experience with blank and blank with Halloween.
True.
If anything, we
true.
did that last year and it probably was boring.
Does anyone want to tell a Halloween story?
Hold
Even though you
on.
just said it's boring.
Hold on. Steven wants to do a Halloween sampling of Pocky ghost pepper chips, I think.
Yeah, I want to tell a very scary story about how I went to the gas station and bought some haunted ghost pepper chips, and now I'm fixing to try one of these bad boys.
Let's all try one for
Yeah.
the sake of it all.
When we went to the gas station, the employee said, "Whenever you guys are in here, you're always here for like 15 minutes.
Now that was scary.
That was scary.
Don't talk to me."
Hold on.
Alright.
Before we clink these, I also have a bonus Halloween thing. Somebody, when me and Steven were out of town the other day, left a Christianity, God Loves You mini pamphlet in my window crack. And I'm not going to read all of it because it's just straight Bible quotes. I am just going to read the last paragraph of it. So as we're sampling our Pocky ghost pepper chips, I'm going to read the last paragraph on this paper.
We need spiritual protection.
Hey.
Alright.
Ding,
Ding.
ding. If you will accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, please pray this prayer with all of your heart.
Oh.
Dear God, I admit I am a sinner going to hell. I know that I cannot save myself. I repent of my
Lord.
sins and put my faith in the blood that you shed for me on the cross to pay for all my sins.
It hit my tongue and immediately burned.
I now accept you as my Savior and trust you to take me to heaven. Thank you for saving me. Amen.
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 I just like the audacity of I admit I am a sinner going to hell. I know I cannot save myself.
Right, Jesus
Well,
Christ.
Like, what am I supposed to get out of that, Christianity? Okay, now I can freak out about the pepper in my mouth.
It's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Like, it's not I like that it's not like super hot though. Like, it has that initial kick the minute it hits your tongue, but it dies down pretty fast.
I'm getting the opposite. It's really hot now. It was not hot when I first ate it.
And we have another.
I'm drinking my hot water that was supposed to be hot chocolate from the gas station, and it's helping.
I'm glad our gas station got brand new coffee and hot chocolate machines that are not good.
Care for another?
I'm glad I was able to read through
Sure.
that whole entire thing.
It's really hot. I shouldn't be doing this.
It's okay, it's okay. Oh, good.
Alright, so, if we do this, like, how we've been doing it in order,
See.
last time I read Stevens,
So,
that means
Elias will read mine.
so that means I would read Elias,
Mm.
Okay.
and then Steven would read mine, and Elias read Stevens.
Mm.
Okay.
So that being said, who wants to read first?
Read mine, please.
So,
no.
me. Okay.
There you go.
Yes, I'll be reading the delightful Halloween horror epic that Elias, last name, sent to us.
I'm gonna have one more chip.
Last name Vlogs.
Elias Vlogs. And I fold it in around back like a tablet.
If you want.
Cool.
There's a touchscreen, so don't like. I don't know.
Oh, holy shit.
Oh my god, alcohol is so much worse with the pocket.
Yeah, I was about to
Oh my
say, that's
God.
not the best thing to chase that with. Ugh.
Okay.
Some vitamin water.
Well, I have to say the title itself is right, but the actual document is spelled Halloween 2019, and Halloween has one L.
I tried so hard to use 2 L's every time, but I'm pretty sure I messed up a couple times. I don't want it to be 2 L's.
Yeah, oh god, I'm done with those for right now.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, now that there's some around my lip, it's starting to be constant.
Okay. Now I can begin.
Fuck, my tongue!
Steven, shut up!
Pay attention to the story.
Stop thinking about yourself for once.
God damn. Alright, go ahead.
Okay. You done?
That still hurts, but I'm done.
Yeah, I'm snotty, but who cares? Beep, beep, beep. Awaking at a crisp 12:01 p.m. after many alarms. You are already cracking up at your own story. I didn't even finish the first sentence.
To be fair, that was pretty good.
Did I even say who it is?
No.
Awaking at a crisp 12:01 p.m. after many alarms, Corey slapped his 1990s novelty Mickey Mouse ear alarm clock. With a crack, one of the ears snapped off as it tumbled to the floor. Corey rubbed the sleep from his eyes and reached for the nightstand drawer, pulling it open hard and grabbing a new alarm clock. He twisted the right ear a few times, resetting the clock, and placed it on the nightstand. Then slammed the drawer shut. Pulling away his blanket, he threw one leg out onto the floor, kicking a pile of novelty alarm clocks across the room, and shuffled to his dresser. On top was an outfit set out for him, which he picked up and looked at. They seemed too small for his frame, but this didn't appear to bother Corey. He squeezed on the clothes and turned to face the mirror. His stomach hung out of a red and white striped polo. His upper arm skin sagged low below the short sleeves. His bald spot left a few patches of hair above his ears that had been shaved close to the head. Ugh. His tired eyes left his upper cheeks dark and soft like an old leather couch. His elbows and knees were white, his pencil-thin legs sinking into giant Osiris shoes.
Osiris?
He smiled. Looking good, Corey. Walking down the hall, Corey slammed the door open to the kitchen and began to yell for his father. Yo, Dad, where's breakfast? I'm hungry as hell. But much to Corey's dismay, the big orange man was in the kitchen again, stuffing his face from the fridge. Corey frowned as the man reached into the big double-door fridge and pulled out a gallon of milk. He leaned his head back and opened wide before pouring the milk into his mouth, all the way to the top without swallowing. Then, dropping the milk gallon to the floor, maintaining his position, he walked carefully to the cabinet nearby and opened it, then pulled out a box of Captain Crunch.
No!
Setting it on the counter, he began tearing at the box. Since he couldn't really look down, he ripped open the plastic and spilled crunch berries all over the big island. Steven, you alright?
I keep taking drinks.
Stop taking drinks then.
Oh my god.
You don't see me taking drinks. I'm being very professional right now.
Okay. You should take one right now. Try to say the rest of the fan fiction with something in your mouth like that man did.
Like this hot water that burns the burns in my mouth.
Fill your mouth up to the very tip top with it.
I will not. Gross. Okay, so he ripped open the plastic and spilled crunch berries all over the big island. He grabbed a handful of cereal off the counter and tossed it up into his mouth. Some went in his eyes and some landed in his mouth. He squinted, trying to blink out the crumbs before swallowing. He wasn't able to swallow the cereal all in one gulp. Some splashed out, but after a couple of tries, it all went down. He shut his trap and looked at Corey, holding eye contact. He wiped his mouth off with a sleeve of his three-piece suit. His arms fell to the side as he continued to stare, his eyes devoid of emotion like a human NPC. His sleeve covered in cereal, milk, and crumbs. He turned and walked out of the room without a word. Corey laid his eyes on the mess before him. Crumbs littered the counter and floor, mixed in with milky footprints leading out of the kitchen. Disgusting. Corey had seen enough. Where was his dad? This new president was pissing him off. Corey had lost his appetite. He fished the BlackBerry phone out of his gym shorts to call his dad. After a few rings, his dad answered. Hello? Corey began. Dad, where the hell are you? That fat-ass cyborg is eating all my cereal again. Sorry, Corey. You know I make him 3 square meals a day. I can't help it if he throws them in the trash and decides to eat your cereal instead. I'm out buying food for the Halloween party. 1 week later? That's the only eventful thing that happened?
I mean, that was really eventful, I won't lie.
The orange man.
Corey in the house, but he still lives in the president's house.
Oh my god.
Years later.
Yeah, I got that.
That's so
Very funny how you made him drink a gallon of milk without swallowing.
He just poured it like a bowl to the top of his mouth.
Let's see. 1 week later, Corey was on the phone, his feet kicked up on a big wooden desk. He was using the Oval Office phone because his was out of minutes, and the White House was mostly empty. He still has like a track phone.
Yeah.
His BlackBerry.
Oh yeah, his BlackBerry.
Oh my god. Using the presidential landline.
Bless you. Happy Halloween. Oh.
Chip got to me.
The chips.
This phone was special, mostly because it didn't cost extra to call other countries. After a few rings, a voice picked up with a whimsical inflection. Hello, this is Jack, the Pumpkin King. To whom do I owe this pleasure? Yo, Jack, this is Corey. Oh, hi, Corey. The caller ID said POTUS. Don't tell me you're still living in the White House. We talked about this. You need to get a job and move out already.
Jack is lecturing this fucking kid.
I don't think he's a kid anymore.
I mean, how long has it been? Like 2 presidencies? It's gotta be at least 8 years. It's gotta be like 26 or 7.
True.
Yeah, I know, man. But listen, this is important. Since we last talked, there's a new president. Corey explained the situation to Jack, who with some hesitation eventually agreed to help. Help what?
Help Corey.
Okay. The day of the White House Halloween party had arrived, and Corey was in his usual attire, only with an orange and white striped polo and white skeleton face paint. He was sitting on a bench in a garden a few hours before the party, eating milk.
Can't believe Corey showed up in whiteface.
Eating milk duds by the handful, his hands sticky with caramel and chocolate, empty boxes littered around him and on the seat and on the ground. The garden was set up like a wedding, some tables in the back with food, and seating facing a podium and archway. What were you saying, Stephen?
I didn't say anything.
That's what I thought. Anyway, where the president would tell his yearly scary story. His horrible, horrible, scary story.
One scary story.
That's all the taxpayers can afford. Cobwebs and spiders hung from arches. Candles were set to light the stage. The seats were purple and orange interchangeably. Spooky snacks were on the smaller tables, like candy corn, Reese's pumpkins, black licorice, and circus peanuts.
Hell yeah.
But the real event meal was prepared on a long table for guests to eat after story time, behind the podium. Corey loved Halloween. He knew that the guests would be older folks and ignore the candy, leaving it for him while they ate the dinner and back.
Corey pre-gaming with like boxes of milk duds before the show.
Right.
I love milk duds. They're the stickiest candy.
Oh my god. I don't know, juju berries or whatever they're called are pretty close.
Juju fruit, yeah.
Juju fruit.
No one had arrived yet. The gates were closed off for another half hour until it got dark. Waiting for Jack to arrive, he looked to his left, and then to his right, then back to his left, and Jack was suddenly there as if appearing out of thin air. Corey jumped up, wiping his hands on the gym shorts, staining them brown. Jesus, man, you gotta give a brother some warning. Sorry, Corey. You know I can't move in stop motion while humans are watching. Right. Well, anyways, this party's about to start, so get into position. Corey looked away while Jack moved off screen to behind the podium. He crouched underneath, folding himself into the stand, out of sight, and sliding a curtain over front to hide for now.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Corey had removed the screws to the top of the podium so Jack could burst out and surprise the president, scaring him out of office for good. Corey knew that if the president saw Jack move in stop motion, it would traumatize him for all time.
Oh my god.
This is a pretty elaborate but not elaborate plot.
This is like something I could see this as an actual episode.
Honestly. About 10 minutes before the party was set to begin, the orange man lumbered through the garden gate, not accompanied by security or anyone else. Strange. He had black lines painted on his face as if to look like a pumpkin head, but they were smeared enough to look a little like blackface. Corey watched in silence as he waddled to the candy table. Oh no, Corey thought. He was going to eat some of his precious candy. Corey had no idea. He began with the circus peanuts. By the handful, he stuffed his mouth and swallowed without chewing until they were gone. Then the same for the black licorice. Then the candy corn. Then the M&Ms and the Reese's Cups and the Snickers and the Kit Kats and the Skittles. Then the Mike and Ikes. Then the Butterfingers and the Baby Ruth and the Almond Joys and the Milky Ways. Then the Tots. Bowl by bowl, he finished the table off. He came to the next table.
Donald Trump's having such a fucking meal.
He threw some branches on the fire.
Oh my god. Bowl by bowl. Everything's fucking gone. He showed up to a reception he held for other people and he ate all the damn recessions.
He came early.
Oh my god. The oily boy gets the milk duds.
Then came the next table. He ate the...
No!
He ate the wax cola bottles whole. He ate. Oh my God!
Sorry, I couldn't swallow.
You like vomited on set live. Good thing we're outside, here in scenic my backyard.
Ate all the wax.
Listen to that fire crackle. Mmm.
Oh my God.
He ate the wax cola bottles whole. He ate the Mary Jane's wrapper and all. He ate the Tootsie Rolls without a care in the world. He stopped, and his head oh so slowly creaked toward Corey. A horrible grin crept across his face.
Oh.
Then he spoke. I'm sorry. Did you want to eat some candy? Well, there's still these Smarties. They were the last candy at the party. He reached for a pack of Smarties.
Sorry.
He ate everything but like the most chalky ass candy. Jesus Christ. The fucking honeydew of candy.
He reached for a pack of Smarties. He began to crush them up inside the wrapper. Corey shook his head in fear, and straightening the wrapper, he put it to his lips. Corey began to tear up. With a brief pause, he raised a finger out in a cloud, and he coughed twice. Then picked up another pack, smoked that one too, then another, then another. Soon he had finished the bowl. He knocked the table over and kicked the pile of wrappers in Corey's direction, cackling under his breath. Just then security walked in.
Oh my God.
Can't believe he smoked an entire carton of
You
Smarties.
didn't read the line where it said President Donald Trump looked Corey in the eyes and smoked a pack of Smarties.
He ate 2 tables worth of candy.
Oh, I must have skipped that. I'm sorry. Donald Trump, President of the United States, smoked a joint of Smarties and blowing the dust out in a cloud. Okay.
Oh my Lord.
Mr. President, we lost you there for a second. Is everything okay? The president shook his head and pointed wordlessly towards the pile of candy wrappers on the ground, then up at Corey, open mouthed. Corey shot a look at the guards, then Trump, then at the guards. I didn't know that was him! The guards looked unamused. Oh, Corey, we're going to have to take you back inside. This is unacceptable. The party hasn't even started. The president nodded in agreement. Corey grew red in the face and screamed, Ah! Jack, get over here and scare this man! At first, nothing happened. The guards looked around. Then one felt a bony grip on their shoulder. Corey looked away as Jack made eye contact with the guards. Then they poofed into a pile of ashen bones, having witnessed him move in a cursed way.
Oh no.
Jack turned to face the POTUS, lanking over towards him. The president seemed unfazed. He shot an arm out and grabbed Jack by the throat, picking him up into the air. He's like 10 feet tall!
He fucking got his ass. Donald Trump gave himself a little hop to get that shit.
Oh my God.
Jack is fucked.
You don't scare me, bony man. You look like fake news. I know stop-motion skeletons are only in movies. Jack squirmed. This had never happened before. He felt himself getting weak in the man's grip. The man's eyes glazed over and strained with focus on the skeleton, who soon went limp. The man dropped Jack, who fell limp onto the floor. Jack ceased to move or speak.
Oh no!
Then the president turned towards Corey. That was very funny, Corey. Very big, very funny joke. But you should know, I am the most powerful man in the country, and I will not be taken down by anyone, let alone you, a mere child.
Oh my God.
Corey was scared, but not one to give up in the face of adversity. So naturally, he charged the big man head first. Corey's bald spot shining in the sun. The president raised his hands together high and with a swift blow brought them down hard atop Corey's neck, smashing him into the earth.
Mongolian chopped him! Holy shit.
Corey had the air knocked out of him. He struggled to get up, but the president placed a foot atop Corey's back and sighed. You know, young man, I think you could use a scary story. Why don't I read you from my favorite book? Reaching into his coat pocket, the POTUS retrieved a copy of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yo.
Corey couldn't look up or make out the first few words, but soon he heard, "Women are always afraid of something," and he knew what was being done. This was the end. Happy Halloween.
That was beautiful.
Oh my god.
I can't believe fucking Corey tried to scare this man and his fucking shenanigans didn't work, so he tried to just straight up charge the fucking president.
He had no choice. He was being provoked.
Oh my god. Trump gone with the fucking Mongolian chop.
Elias, would you like to go next?
Sure. Are you ready?
Yep.
Our story begins. It was always a pleasant, quiet afternoon. It was always a pleasant, quiet afternoon at the Chicago Public Library. The sound of busy traffic and the usual hustle and bustle of the city was drowned by the well-soundproofed structure. This was also, of course, enforced by the widely feared "no talking or you have to eat a stick of jumbo sidewalk chalk and like it" rule. All the reading and flash
And
game
like
playing
Yeah.
remained serene and undisturbed until this particular afternoon. It was the 31st of October, and the Chicago Library staff were getting ready to close as the final hours of operation arrived. There were only a few people left sitting in the reading area, keeping to themselves. One of these folks happened to be none other than the infamous Douglas Walker.
I should have known you would do this.
Doug had come to the library to study filmography, clad in his nostalgia critic attire. The lanky, cranky corn-toothed held a copy of Making Movies by Sidney Lumet, which was actually propped up as a disguise for the copy of Garfield Bigger Than Life that he was actually reading. Doug chuckled at his study material. Garfield. Let me think about this voice really quick.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how Doug sounds.
Garfield, you can't smoke that pipe. At least not as good as me. This skink laughed, puffing on his fat glass pipe he had slinked into the library space. He blew a hard puff directly into the book, adding on to the obtrusive tan stain that he had been working on for months. This act of shameless ignorance was suddenly interrupted by the opening and closing of the front door, followed by very loud, self-indulgent footsteps. In walked a sweaty, heavy-set man clad in a large striped sweater, holding a copy of Green Eggs and Ham close to his chest as he approached the strong Hispanic woman at the front desk. Hello, started the Magnus Fatness. My name is Christian Weston Chandler, and I thought that you might like to read this page of Los Green Eggs and Ham. The heavy foot shit handed the book to the already visibly distraught librarian. The roly-poly pissant cracked a smile, mistaking her wide-eyed demeanor as astonishment and his ability to speak Spanish. The brown-eyed lady opened the book and gasped. Upon opening the book, the librarian could see that only 3 pages remained, the spine littered with the remnants of the hastily torn literature. The pages left were heavily edited by hand, with the white spaces of each page scribbled in with colored pencil to form panels around the book illustrations. The book turned spook depicted Sam I Am as Chris himself, with several cut-out of shots of his head pasted over the top of characters, and his fur scribbled in with red and blue stripes, cemented by his sonotune medallion meticulously doodled on top. Guy M.I. was vandalized to represent the librarian, with oval breasts painstakingly imposed on every torso, and his face colored over with a brown crayon. The brim of his stovepipe hat was widened to simulate a very stinky sombrero. The narrative of this comic was as painfully contrived as every other of Chris's damned comics. He shows up, does something he clearly is not competent enough to do in real life, and asks the librarian for a date. The last page depicts Chris Seuss OC, Chris Don't Miss, asking the librarian character Chris New Misses, On a date to
Chris's new missus.
Chris's new missus. On a date to Taco Bell for some purple Halloween chalupas, ending with "to be continued?" ? The librarian felt sick to her stomach as Chris finished reading the comic out loud to her, complete with voices, sound effects, and narrative pointing. Chris looked down at her with that sneering, stinky smirk and eyebrow slightly cocked. He awaited an answer to the question he had no business asking.
That's true.
The police arrived swiftly, signaled by the rapid pressing of the librarian's panic button from underneath the desk. The cops barged in, pointing actual real killing guns at the too-tall tubster. "Get the fuck on the ground! On the damn ground, retard!" bellowed the
Oh my
chief of
god!
police. Chris turned around, taking a minute to ingest what was happening. His eyes lazed the glaze as the gears turned and he realized the situation he was in. Chris threw up his hands, his sweater coming loose from his pants and resting above his stomach. "Oh, what is the trouble, officer?" said Chris, stumbling over himself even worse than normal. "You're under arrest for disturbing the peace, defacing library property, and you're ugly!" yelled the very angry policeman, jabbing Chris in his now bare stomach with the tip of his assault rifle. Chris dropped to his knees and began to cry, upset at having his fun disturbed by these mean law enforcers. He detailed a new comic arc as the officers continued. "I said down on the ground, you little sugar plum fairy! Down, fatso!" Chris laid on the ground, on his stomach, his hands behind his back. He was slightly propped up from the ground by his girthy stomach. "I said all the way down." All the way down. The cop placed his foot on top of Chris's back and pressed down, squishing the rest of his torso into the floor beneath. The other two cops that had accompanied the chief cuffed Chris and pulled him back on his feet, each giving him a slap on his Buddha belly for good luck. Chris squirmed and tried to justifiably denounce his treatment, but the sins on his shoulder were far too heavy, and his stomach hurt now. "I'll take it from here, gentlemen," said a familiar, equally nasally voice. Out from beside the chief stepped none other than Deputy Police Chief Liquid Chris, clad in his coarse
Why
furred
is
shoes
Doug here?
and children's cowboy hat. He approached Chris. "Hello, Ian." Chris looked up at Liquid and scowled, twisting his face with rage. "You!" Chris shouted, attempting to charge him, but falling short as Liquid tripped him with his foot. Liquid cackled. "Ha, Ian, I sentence you to public execution. Now get outside." Liquid leaned into Chris's face. "Faggot."
Jesus Christ,
Chris's
Steven,
face
you're so
went-
mean.
Chris's face went blood red as he flopped onto the ground violently. His ire aroused worse than it had ever been. "For the last time, I am not the goddamn gay! Get it through your thick fucking skulls!" The policeman vibe-checked Chris in the gut and yanked him to his feet, proceeding to push him outside. Chris was led to the edge of the highway outside, standing solemnly on the sidewalk. The cops all came to attention as Liquid started the execution proceedings. "Ian Brandon Anderson, you are charged with being a relatively bad man, and we're going to legally kill you. How do you plead?" announced Liquid, wrapping his arms around the Latina honey librarian and grabbing her ass. Chris cried to the sky, "Judy!" and coughed, his vibe as slept as it could be. "Sorry, Ian, but being a big fat pansy won't save you this time. Proceed, Lieutenant Charmix." Out of the group of cops came one officer with a policeman's hat and a casual hoodie attire, a set of headphones resting over the top of his hat. "What is up, you guys? I'm Charmix, and today I'm going to be executing Ian Brandon Anderson." Who is this voice I'm supposed to be doing?
It's the fucking reaction guy, Charmix.
I have never heard of it.
He's
It
like
sounds familiar.
He's super generic.
Okay, I'll continue with this voice.
Mm.
What is up, you guys? I'm Charmix, and today I'm going to be executing Ian Brandon Anderson. Now, I don't really like this guy, so I can totally understand why he has to die in the public eye. Links are in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to Christian Weston Chandler, and without any further ado, let's begin. Charmix promptly pushed Chris into the highway, where he was hit by a large Coca-Cola semi-truck. Liquid gave a salute in remembrance and directed the Chicago police force to return to the station. Liquid, meanwhile, re-entered the library. The evil Ian Brandon Anderson is no more. I, the real Christian Weston Chandler, have slain him, he announced. Liquid then proceeded to load up the librarian in his moped and drove off to Chris's house so that he may clap cheeks on his bed. On his bed. Doug Walker had covertly watched the entire fiasco. Meanwhile, using the library's lack of staff to print off flyers for his upcoming It Part 2 review, Doug exited the unlocked and insecure public space and thought to himself, wow, that was the scariest thing I ever seen. I think I'll start by writing the bad parody review of Pink Floyd's The Wall. The end.
That was so mean. We didn't rate your story. We totally forgot.
Oh shit.
Hold on, before we rate Steven's stories, we have to rate Elias's stories. I rate that story, God, it was so long ago.
Alright.
I rate that story a gallon of milk out of, a gallon of milk.
I rate that, let's see, 20 newtons of Mongolian chop to the back of Corey's neck.
Okay, now we rate Steven's story. I rate that story a very negative review for the complicit bullying and murder of real-life human being, Christine Weston Chandler.
I rate it one deep nostalgia critic slump into the kid's beanbag chair reading Garfield.
Oh my god.
Concealing a glass pipe underneath his suit coat pocket.
Blowing a stain into the fucking page.
Oh my god.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I think we're just about out.
I'm glad I got to read that one so I could loudly scream.
I just like how fucking Ian showed up and he was like, we're publicly executing you.
Hello, Christian.
That was
Ian?
so mean. Alright.
I like his children's cowboy hat and spurred boots.
Oh yeah.
His gag police outfit. The Western police outfit.
He wasn't even like the top chief. The chief already showed up. He was the deputy and he called all the shots.
The deputy calls for immediate public execution.
By pushing him into traffic.
That's awful.
I like to think this is your headspace. It's very funny. Nostalgia critic slumping around in a public library. A Christian busting in to harass women and then getting immediately destroyed by Liquid Chris.
He tore up the books that only 3 pages were left and he turned those pages into a comic.
He did ruin a book and turn it into a comic to harass the librarian and presumably he'd have no intention of paying for his damages.
How would he? With what money?
He says, "You should be paying me. I made this comic." You can have your ad space as long as it doesn't go down the middle of the page.
And then he got killed. I'm gonna have another one of these chips. Here you go, Steven.
Me too.
That's a big one. That's upsetting.
The setting sun begins to cast a dim shadow overhead. Streetlights are popping on and decorations are lighting up all throughout Lakewood Plaza Turbo. Carved pumpkins and ghastly ghoul portraits reside in windows, doorsteps, anywhere they will fit really. Shortly thereafter, the sounds of laughing children and fun-loving heroes begin to fill the area. Halloween had finally come.
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I got phlegm.
Yeah, we're all gonna be coughing up the storm for a second. We'll cut this out. You can start over.
Hmm.
I'm all out of beverages and I brought so many.
You brought 3.
Feel free to have some vitamin water.
That's Splenda or Sprite, Straw, Snapple.
Oh, the Snapple's gone.
What about Snapple and vitamin water?
Yeah, I knew that I'd probably get wrecked by that, so I wanted to have plenty of liquids.
Oh. Okay, I think I'm good.
The setting sun begins to cast a dim shadow overhead. Streetlights are popping on, and decorations are lighting up all throughout Lakewood Plaza Turbo. Carved pumpkins and ghastly ghoul portraits reside in windows, doorsteps, anywhere they will fit, really. Shortly thereafter, the sounds of laughing children and fun-loving heroes begin to fill the area. Halloween had finally come. The door to the fitness dojo swings open as Carol, dressed as a stereotypical nurse, exits along with her bouncing bundle of joy KO. Donning the iconic orange gi of his favorite martial artist hero, Goku, KO is holding a large sack to collect candy. Carol knelt down to look her boy in the eye. Let's see if I can do a Carol impression.
You better.
I'm going to do my best. She has a weird accent. Looks like the coast is clear, everybody, she announces. So let's get this party rolling.
What the? Steve, you went to the bottom.
I did? How?
Yeah, you scrolled all the way down to the bottom somehow.
How the fuck did that happen?
I don't know.
Interesting. Alright, well, let's see.
I was like, hold on. Trying to cut my story.
Yeah, I did somehow.
Why did you do that?
What
Face was on fire.
Are
You
you
sprayed
okay?
yourself with the hose.
It felt good.
I mean, that's ingenuitive. We do have infinite water, technically, don't we?
Yes.
You can refill the vitamin water.
It's okay. It tastes like sewer water.
Alright, sweetie, your friends are gonna meet you right over here in front of Gar's any minute now, but if you need anything, I'll be right here. Thanks, Mommy, KO replied with a huge grin. Just then, KO notices some of his friends are walking up to the plaza right now. Enid! Red Action! Happy Halloween! He shouts to the couple. Happy Halloween to you too, KO, Enid replies. You look like you're ready to go Super Saiyan for some candy. KO spins around and pretends to power up. Yeah, this is the best night ever. I like your costumes too. Thanks, little guy, Red Action replied. Enid painted her skin to look like orange fur, with a blonde wig and furry ears over top her head. She's got a white t-shirt, overalls with one strap down, a pink laptop in her arm, and a little black dot on her nose. Red also painted herself a light blue hue and donned a schoolgirl's outfit. She got a black wig on, large metal-looking gloves, and a big red N painted on her forehead. That's actually adorable. I love that.
What's so funny, Elias?
Professor Insano.
What that N stands for.
Dr. Insano.
It's not that.
Red Action is Doctor. Red Action embrace the madness.
She is not dressed as Spoonie.
She's dressed as Cortex.
Red Action placed a huge prosthetic nose on her face.
Fuck you, Steven.
We would have been here earlier, but you know Enid's mom and how she gets around this time of year, Red said. Cut away to the front of Enid's house, boarded up with dozens of boards. The door is shaking from how hard it is being banged on from the inside by a spooky-loving mother. I do appreciate you helping with my makeup, Enid says to her hot GF, and helping me keep my mom from doing something absolutely embarrassing, like every year. The two slap five and grin at each other when they feel a sudden rumble. A van pulls up, absolutely blasting the theme song to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. As it pulls to a stop, Rad steps out wearing a tight white tank top and blue jeans. That's awesome.
Fucking cosplaying CJ.
That's so good. Holy shit.
I don't know how to make that like crunking bell sound from San Andreas, but
Oh my god. Sup, ladies? Sup, Gayo? He says as he strides over. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one repping the best console generation. Love your Crash Bandicoot outfits. That Goku costume is super rad too, KO. Thank you, Rad, KO cheers. I don't know who you are, but it's a very cool costume. Rad scoffs. Of course you don't know, KO. It's before your time. The poor kids of this generation won't be able to experience such a masterpiece of gaming.
I like how you just do a CJ voice for him instead.
I mean, hell, if I was CJ, I'd commit to it.
Maybe you could be.
I mean, I'd get in trouble if I did, but... Enid smirks and rolls her eyes as she lifts up KO. Yeah, we get it. Anyway, let's go see Mr. Gar and see if he's got any candy for a cute little buddy here. The group makes their way to the bodega, where Mr. Gar is sitting in a folding armchair with a bowl of candy next to him.
Did I write armchair?
Huh? Lawn chair.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Gar, KO shouts as they arrive. Bodegaman! Mr. Gar shouts back. Oh, and hello, Red Action. Gar gives her costume a once-over. So, does that end for...
Elias, get back here.
Gar gives her costume a once-over. So, does that N stand for what I think it does? It's Nina, Mr. Gar, Red replies. I'm Nina Cortex, and Nina is Coco Bandicoot from the same series. Oh, he announces. Very good, then. Just take some candy, please. As Gar presents the bowl to everyone, a scream is heard heading towards them. The crowd is parted by Potato, the small rabbit boy, screaming and running. How does his voice go?
Just like a little boy.
Help! Help! I need a hero! As the sound of a cry for help falls on his ears, KO immediately jumps to the rescue, with his friend stepping forward as well. What's wrong, Potato? KO asks. It's Colewart. He and I were about to start trick-or-treating when this big guy in a white mask came and grabbed him. He was gonna get me too, so I ran. Mr. Gar steps forward. This is really serious, son. Do you know which way he went? I'm not sure. I was too panicked to see him. Rad speaks up this time. I think I've got a pretty good idea of who would want to do something to ruin Halloween, he says, gesturing across the street to Boxmoor. Good thinking, Rad, Gar states. Enid, KO, you two go with Rad and check out Boxmoor. I'll stay here in case any more trouble rears its head around here. Let's see, we got a trio. Sir, yes, sir. 1, 2, 3. Sir, yes, sir. The trio answers with a salute. The three head across the street and Enid knocks on the door. Go away, we're closed, a raspy voice shouts from behind the door. Open up, Boxman, we know it's you, Enid shouts, still slamming on the door. The door slides open and inside Boxman is standing, dressed as some sort of werewolf in a sheep-covered pajama shirt. Oh no!
You can't wear that as a costume.
Why not?
It's like a double costume.
Behind him are his whole family of robots, as well as Professor Venomous and Fink, dressed as all kinds of monsters, save for Fink, who is begrudgingly a pink princess.
He's got the whole damn crew in there.
From a skeleton Daryl to a witch Shannon, whatever Ernesto is covered in eyeballs and a horn. Enid shakes her head, remembering why she's here. Alright, where's Colewart? Who? Boxman replies. I don't know what that is, but I've been here all night with my family. Even villains take some holidays off, you know. This story seems to be legit, Rad prods. But will any of your robots provide an alibi? Daryl raises his hand. I can! Daryl hits a robot and his eyeball turns into a TV projection of the entire group practicing some strange dance. I've been recording the whole thing, so I'll be able to look back on this wonderful family occasion. After analyzing the tape, the three heroes sigh. Boxman shuts the door and sends them home. Just as they return to the plaza, another scream is heard, this time in front of the bodega itself. Mr. Gar is holding down Brendan from the framing shop, his elbow charged and ready to take the bear's head off. Come on, man, I said I didn't do anything, he lets out. Yeah, well, I say we don't have anyone looking more suspicious than you right now. So you better talk and tell us where the kid is.
His elbow cocks like a gun as Bernard lets out a squeal. Once again, Potato runs through the plaza, crowd screaming in terror. Mr. Gar drops Bernard and I thought he was going to say he dropped him with the fucking elbow.
Execute, walk away. Break the wrist, walk away.
Mr. Guard drops Bernard and stands upright. Bernard scrambles away. Did you see him again, Potato? Enid asks. Yeah, he was over there with Silver Spark and he showed up again. She was fighting him off and told me to run for help. Carol! Gar shouted. Mommy! Ko shouted. The crew looks to the fitness center and sees no one over there. They quickly rush to that end of the plaza in hopes to find her. Looking in the center behind it, even in the ditch to no avail, the team regroups in front of the plaza. All right, Bodegaman, listen up, Gar announced. We've got something real serious on our hands. If even Carol couldn't take this guy down, be on your toes and ready for anything.
Steven, who do you think it is?
Well, let's see, it's a person in a white mask. I don't know.
It's like a ghost from Scooby-Doo.
Oh no.
Or a KKK member.
Oh yeah, I wonder what his power level is.
Okay.
3 Ks.
Yes, sir, they all reply. The group huddles together, watching each other's back. Gar suddenly feels something in his bones that compels him to look up. On top of the plaza, he sees it. A large silhouette of a man, just barely able to make out the plain mask on his face. He disappears into the shadows as Gar signals to his team and leads them into action. Landing on top of the plaza, the group takes their battle stance, ready for anything. Moments pass before they realize they're totally alone. Are you sure you saw someone, Mr. Gar? Enid asked. I could have sworn. I mean, he was almost as big as me, so it would be pretty hard to mistake it, he replied.
He is like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah.
He appears and disappears.
Yeah. Suddenly, the group hears a loud banging coming from a large crate against the wall. Rad gently uses his finger beam to safely open it from a distance. Does he do it from the side because he's CJ?
Sure.
As soon as there is some give in the boards, it bursts from the inside, revealing Carol and Coward. Carol! Mr. Gar shouts as he helps her up. What happened here? We need to know everything. Carol rubs her head. I don't know. One second I was talking with Potato, and the next I get clonked on my head and woke up here. But hey, I found Coward. She holds up the snoozing broccoli boy. The lights in the plaza suddenly go out. A few screams of surprise come from the crowd below as the rescue team up top stays vigilant. The power quickly comes back on, revealing the large man in question standing in the middle of the crowd. That's him! Potato shouts as he barrels away from the area. The crowd fall.
Is it too late to guess it's Jimmy from the Fairy Godmother? Fairy God Witch?
Fairy God Witch.
Scary Godmother? Sorry.
I think it's the witch doctor from Scooby-Doo, but it's like inverted, so it's a black guy representing a white person. The crowd follows his lead and begins to vacate the area. Rad jumps first into the fray and shoots a finger beam at the intruder. His beam only lasts for a second before the hulking figure grabs it and throws it aside, sending the alien along with it. Rad! Enid shouts. She and Ko jump down and begin blasting the beast of a man with power punches and flaming kicks.
Blasting him. Beating him down.
CJ is so weak. Like an angel, Gar leaps off the plaza, screaming as his elbow is ready for impact. Slamming into the figure, they leave a huge crater and a dust covering the scene. As the dust fades, Mr. Gar is climbing out of the pit that he made. He brushes his hands off, indicating a job well done. The team congratulates each other. Rad regroups and lets the crowd know he's okay. Suddenly from behind them, the group hears clapping. They turn around to see an elderly man in a trench coat, seemingly applauding their heroism. Good show, everyone! Absolutely good show, he exclaims. Thank you, but who are you, mister? Ko asks. Oh, forgive me. Where are my manners? He replies. My name is Dr. Sam Loomis. I've been tracking down that maniac for years now.
Who is Sam Loomis?
He's the detective that goes after Michael Myers.
Oh.
Oh my god. I thought he was fucking Pops for a minute.
Me too. The way you did that voice, I was like, oh no.
Well, it's like good show, everyone. Absolutely good show. So I was like,
Okay.
oh.
Pops?
Who's whiter than Pops?
From Johnny Bravo?
No,
Show.
from regular show, the
Oh.
Lollipop Man.
Oh. Well, that
Let's see.
voice is fine. I would have liked Pops from Johnny Bravo better.
Same. Oh, forgive me, where are my manners? He replies. My name is Dr. Sam Loomis. I've been tracking down that maniac for years now. You see, he is no ordinary human like you or I. Whatever sense of humanity he might have had at some point in his life left him long ago. He is a criminal who has murdered countless of innocent individuals. Gee, mister, that sure is scary, replied K.O. with a worried look on his face. Why would someone do something so evil? Dr. Loomis kneels down to face K.O. You see, son, when a cartoon series is mistreated or ends too soon, it often has a comeback with much more mature themes to suit the older age of its original fans. I don't really get it, but okay, K.O. said. Gar turned around to get another look at the assailant, only to find an empty crater in the parking lot.
No, he did the Michael Myers thing.
Oh, where'd he go? Gar asks. Dr. Loomis quickly jumps up to look into the pit, seeing that his old game of cat and mouse isn't over quite yet. He stamps his foot and begins to jog off. Well, thank you for your help, he calls. It was nice meeting you, heroes. Stay safe. Power off, shutting down.
Oh no! My phone died.
Did you upload your story to the...
I did.
Okay.
So we can continue. Technical difficulties on
continue.
Halloween.
We will continue after these messages from our sponsor.
What's the name of the story?
Okay, KO. Let's trick or treat. Okay, KO. You fight to the end. You are my best friend. Let's be heroes. Okay, KO. Let's start the show.
Very good, very good. I need to draw more biddies from that.
Oh my gosh, didn't have no why.
There's so many, Jesus Christ.
Can draw Red Action just as Nina Cortex.
That's
Can
nice.
draw Enid just as Coco Bandicoot.
I do like both of those.
Can just Rad just as CJ.
Now that would be good. I would like to make an edit of that for the thumbnail.
There you go.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
we can let off.
Oh, thank you. The heroes watch as the strange old man disappears into the horizon. The crowd slowly begins to reform at the plaza to see if it is safe to continue enjoying the festivities. Red Action emerges from the crowd. Looks like the coast is clear, everybody, she announces. Let's get this party rolling. With that, everyone in the plaza begins to boogie and dance with one another. Carol and Gar indulge in some fun as well. Enid and Red Action get up close and personal with each other. Rad busts it down as best he can. KO bounces around, seeing how much fun his friends and family are having. From inside the Boxmoor building, Lord Boxman watches all the do-gooders have fun. He snarls and closes the blinds behind him.
Back to my scary godmother fun.
That reminds me of the very first fucking episode, because the very first joke got me with him. He peeks through the blinds and is like, ugh. It's so good.
That's what we in the industry call a callback.
I know, man. It's good. Let's see here. Alright, everyone. Let's take it from the top. You all have to come take a pizza from... You all have to come and take a pizza from my hands in the right order as Shannon holds me in place. It is our writing on you to finish the scene up, Daryl. The family proceeds to act out this comedic scene. We see a panning shot of the plaza with everyone having fun. The cactus crew chanting as they TP a local business. The elementary students sit in a circle and trade candy. A real magic skeleton and Brendan chill by the punch bowl. Off the highway, we see Dr. Loomis walking toward the danger zone with when a truck stops next to him. Nick, Army, and Joff offer a ride to the old man, who gladly accepts their help. Sure, it was scary, but this was a Halloween night that everyone will remember forever. And that's it. Woo!
Wahoo.
I fucking love that. Their tradition is just to recreate the fucking depravity scene from Scary Godmother.
I hate that's in the confines of his own home.
I like that he's like so self-indulgent, yet he's the one who plays the fucking character with the worst end of the stick.
No, please, I'll do anything.
So he is perfect for that role.
You better take over Cody's TV and put that on.
Oh, we're gonna, don't worry.
I had in my notebooks, I had every character like filled out with all the robots and everything. I just didn't have a like reason to write them all out. But it worked out pretty well. That stroke of genius comedy where Boxmore takes Halloween off to reenact the entirety of Scary Godmother Halloween Spooktacular.
I hate that it's in his own home because he has no, like he doesn't do anything. He has nothing to gain.
It's fun.
It's tradition.
It's not tradition.
It is. They do it every year.
Just like us.
He gets the first day of October rolls around. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to have pizza taken from me again."
He slaps all the dust off his old fur coat in his worn pajama top.
He puts like a little doggy devil outfit on Jethro. I am Jimmy.
He loves when he gets to do the scene where he flails his arms back and bashes his head against the wall when the bottle of alcohol lands in his mouth.
He loves the scene where Scary Godmother uses her magic hands to crack his neck.
That's from Neo Scary Godmother. That's different.
It's the new cut.
Hey, check out Neo Scary Godmother on YouTube.
He still uploads, surprisingly. It's funny.
I don't want to hear that.
Don't worry, none of it is Scary Godmother related.
Some of it is.
But
there's also like how to download PSP games.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Oh boy. Thank you everybody for coming out on our Halloween Spooktacular 2, The Revenge of podcast.
Hope you enjoyed our stories and the fire.
I hope you enjoy your Halloween.
Elias, do you even know what the specific scary story is that quotes the man saying women are always afraid of something?
No, I tried really hard to find it, but I could not. I wanted to do the entire intro all the way to that point, however long it is.
It's the hook.
The hook?
Yeah.
It's pretty far in though.
That's fine.
Trump just stands with his foot on Corey's back for like 5 actual minutes.
That was so good.
I was
Holy
opening
shit.
so many stories and all F4ing that phrase trying to find it for a long time. I could not.
God, that was so good.
Just to laugh. You wrote this in a coffee shop. Just you in
Me,
public.
30 tabs,
just...
all F4ing. Women are always afraid of something. Women are always afraid of something. Women are always afraid of something.
I just want one person to have looked over at your
I know.
laptop while you were doing that.
I know why you didn't find it, because it's girls are always afraid of something.
Oh, okay. That explains it.
And the whole story ruined.
Girls are always afraid of something.
That'd be a really offhand comment for Trump to make. I mean, so is women, but...
That's so damn funny, holy shit.
I love that he only speaks to Corey and no one else.
I love that your idea of your Halloween story was...
Slumbering cryptid.
Yours wasn't even Halloween!
It was on Halloween, and it was scary.
How is it Halloween related?
Because it was scary and it was on Halloween.
You can't just call it scary. It was. Someone
wasn't-
died.
It wasn't scary, it was mean-spirited.
Chris died. That's
Yeah,
horrifying.
you belittled him and then killed him in your fiction.
It's just like the 2002 era of fanfiction.net.
There we go.
You posting cringe in the podcast right now? Not cool, dude.
I'm a new subscriber.
God, I wish we could get the voice actor of Chris McLean on the podcast.
What's he doing?
Not a whole lot, I think. I looked him up a while ago, but I already forgot his name.
Mm.
But I don't think he's doing that much.
We can get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he probably loves your stuff, Steven.
Oh shit.
He probably says, I wish you would draw more Total Drama Island and 16 artwork.
His private account that is just an RP account of McLean.
Can't even do the voice. What's the point?
It's just at Chris
It's like a text RP.
at Chris McCock.
Chris my cock.
It's Christian Potenza.
Christian Chandler.
He steals the handle. Oh my god.
I love Chris McLean. I'm dreading the day we actually do a Total Drama episode.
Oh
But
my god.
if we can get the voice actor, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, very true. Maybe that can... No. We gotta find a proper time to have Devin on for our sexual one.
Oh yeah, good friend Devin. He's very funny, so maybe you'll see him in the near future.
Yosh.
It doesn't have to be a sexual exclusive episode.
I mean, I'm just saying what he suggested.
It will be a funny crossover bit that just happens to have harsh sexual overtones.
Oh boy.
Apparently he has a YouTube channel.
Oh shit.
Nice.
He has 16,000 subscribers.
Hey, not bad.
Ah, nice.
His Twitter only has 3,500 followers.
Is he also? He's also the voice actor of Jude, isn't he?
Yes, his Twitter bio says I'm the voice actor of Jude and Chris McLean. So, seems pretty proud.
I'm glad.
I'd be too if I was Chris McLean. Shit.
Oh no.
What?
He was the one who posted that 2018 with...
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that shitty fucking episode they posted. That's
It's like 7 minutes long. It's called Vote Dude PSA, the
Yeah,
16 reunion 2018.
That's stupid shit.
Political, and they like Jude is hotboxing the lemon stand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck that shit. Alright, never mind. We don't need it.
I'm 16, life is sweet when you're
Actually, no, have him on. We gotta ask him about that.
Gotta make good times last.
Did you think it was funny when Jude hotboxed the lemon stand Christian Potenza?
Yes, I came up with that, in fact.
It's a true story in my life.
Where I hotboxed the lemonade stand. It was so cool.
They couldn't do shit about it.
He's
neither.
reposting Japanese, Chinese, and like, I don't know what language this is.
Oh god, I don't know. I think it's Czech.
Some Indian language, actually,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I see, so it might be, what's it called?
Korean.
Not Korean, it's like, it's an Indian language, so then it would be like,
Indian.
I don't know if Indian, like, uses those characters.
He must have like a manager, because I see like 4 languages being regularly reposted here. There's no way he speaks all these. None of
Nah,
these
dude.
make any sense. It's all just like ads, and like he's got like a bot.
Oh dear.
Steven, DM him.
I will.
Say, hey, buddy. How's it going?
Oh, he's like really big into like stocks and day trading, it looks like.
I see. Well, let's see, are his DMs open?
Doesn't look like it.
They will be to
Message
you,
me.
Steven.
No, damn.
Could email him.
True. Does he have? Oh yeah, is a business email.
I'm sure you could find one.
I'll learn that language and ask him.
Just comment on every one of his YouTube videos until he answers. They've only got like 100 views.
Oh,
Except for
dear.
the Vote Dude PSA, which has 610,000 views. And Total Daycare Drama Disclaimer, which has 20,000 views.
Oh my god.
Classic total daycare drama.
That sure lasted a while, didn't it?
Will that thing shut up? I guess it's a bit late to apologize for the water pump that's been going off the entire recording session.
It's okay, it's our cryptid.
Our cryptid beast. Well, they must be taking a shower or something in there. That is horrible.
Something like that.
Well, our fire's about to go out. Mosquitoes are coming back. We hope you enjoyed this spooktacular evening with us that was filled with cheers and frights and bullying and badgering and murder.
It was really cool.
Just censor it, it's fine.
Just leave my story out.
This is like a 30-minute podcast.
No, just like have the intro of Doug Walker and then cut out the rest and put the end.
Have the intro of Doug Walker and the outro of Doug Walker. It's like a 200-word story.
The scary part is trying to wonder what he saw.
Does anybody have any last spooky words?
Yeah, don't lock your keys in your car on Halloween, because if you do, you'll miss the 1 hour of prime trick-or-treating time.
It's true.
In case anyone of age for trick-or-treating is listening to this.
Which I hope you are, with parental supervision.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't care.
Get like a scooter and just go as fast as you can. Collect that candy, max your returns, and trade for all the best stuff.
Use your pillowcases.
Don't half-ass it either. Work hard on your costume. Get those full-size candy bars. They're out there, I promise you that.
Have someone in a car trade off your pillowcase so you can just have like fucking 29 pounds of candy.
Yeah, make sure to eat it all in one day too. So you come into school the next day and say, I ate all my candy in one day, and all your friends will go, wow.
Wow.
You got me there, actually.
That was pretty good.
Y'all ever trade your trick-or-treat candy?
I did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What was the first thing you would always put up for bids? Just the stuff you did not want?
Dots. Because like dots were always like super common, I remember.
They actually were up there with the most common trick-or-treat candy on like this list.
Yeah. Well, I think like I don't know if that was the case back then, but now like the cheapest candy bags are usually like the Tootsie brand stuff, and dots are in those as well as the normal Tootsie Rolls and stuff, which may be why.
True.
I would usually trade like Whoppers and Chiclets.
Oh, I love chiclets.
But, like dots and stuff was never something I actively bought, so I didn't mind it in my candy bag.
Yeah, I would always try. Let's see, dots. Snickers. Like I like Snickers, but like they're not my favorite, so I could take them or leave them.
Yeah, I don't really like nuts, so I would always like push those aside. Always try to stock up on as many Reese's Cups as I could.
And Swedish fish, because I remember back in the day, Swedish fish were like a rarity.
They're pretty similar to dots, I feel like. A little tougher.
Well, I don't know. I think
Swedish fish are tougher, but once you like get in there, then it's not gonna stick to your teeth like dots do.
That's true.
Yeah, like in my experience, they're like lighter, but that's just because they're like thin. They're not like just big chunks of gummy.
They are lighter. They're very light candy. They're very good candy.
Yeah, the flavor is like what gets me.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I remember, what was it? Yeah, we did trade once while we trick-or-treated together once. I remember that was when you were with Ashley.
We did it on the front porch of George's grandma's house.
That was cool.
I traded her like my big Hershey's, because we had gone like big bars from one house. I traded her that for like 3 things of Swedish fish.
Solid.
So that
And
is
look at her now. Missing out on all the Swedish fish.
Years later.
Years later.
What is the candy that is the most annoying to eat?
That it's not technically candy, but you would a lot of times, at least when I was trick or treating, I would get this, but popcorn balls.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
they're
popcorn.
good, but they're so big and just they're
They're also
designed
so,
to make a
like,
mess.
They're so full of like shell and seed.
Mhm.
Yeah, popcorn balls are like my favorite Halloween treat, but I agree, you have to keep them in the wrapper so that the crumbs aren't everywhere. You have to eat it like a fucking burger in paper.
I remember there was this dope lady in the grandma's neighborhood. I think you guys were there one of the last years she did it, where she had like the thing where you'd stick your hand in, and she would like have her hand under her dress, so if you go into the wrong hole, she'll like grab you and she'll go. She was very into the bit and had we always have like a line outside of her house of people to go up to her. But she also gave out Capri Suns or whatever,
Hell yeah.
and it was the most exciting thing to get on a hot Halloween night.
Yeah, like those in the friggin' lemonade Kool-Aid things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Good shit. We were in high school when we went trick or treating.
Hell yeah, I wouldn't trade
Yeah,
for the world.
free time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I still want to like go trick or treating as like an adult at some point.
It's
I
so
just-
fun.
Yeah, I just
Don't
want
let
to
your
see.
friends tell you you're too old to trick or treat.
Dude, as long as you're in costume and you're in the spirit, people ain't gonna deny you candy, really. Only, like, super sticklers are gonna fucking go, no.
I have no idea how much that's still going on because I haven't like participated in a few years.
Mm.
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I guess like I don't know. I don't have kids and I'm not like hanging out with kids, so I don't really know.
Yeah, it's
Trick
one
or
of those...
treating?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still big.
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, trick-or-treating's a big tradition, oh,
I-
yeah.
Yeah, I would assume it's still like a big thing. I know, obviously, kids these days are more
Like-
inclined to tablets and whatnot.
Yeah, like indoor focused.
Mhm. But I'm sure they still can get out to do all that stuff.
Oh,
None of us
yeah.
really live in like. Well, I guess I don't know. Last Halloween we all lived in the same house, which was this house. So, and there's absolutely no scene for trick or treating because there's no children in this neighborhood.
Mm.
But
It is what it is. It's a tradition that happens once a year, so kids generally, like, get hyped up for it, so they're more inclined to do it regardless of their attachment to technology.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
it's that's the cool
same
thing
thing with
about
Christmas.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. I'd say
Anyway.
the most annoying candy to eat is probably Milk Duds, but I love Milk Duds, so I don't care.
too.
Same. The most annoying. I love Juji fruit, but I've come to accept that, yeah, they are a fucking... Because one time when I was in, I believe I was 17, I was still in high school, I ate Juji fruit, and I was, like, on my laptop. I ate a piece of Juji fruit, and it was stuck in my teeth. I pulled it off and pulled a cap off my tooth.
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad it was, and I just thought that I had an old box, but I've come to, but no, as of late,
just
I've
how
come
they
to,
are.
I have a
yeah.
fucking gap in one of my molars because I bit into a frozen Twizzler at Elias's house.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I love frozen Twizzlers.
I know you do. They're good, but
Twizzlers are
I was like
good.
leaving your mom's house however many years ago this was. I don't know why I was there by myself. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a Twizzler to go. And I just like stepped out of the door and, and I could just feel it in my mouth. I said,
Oh god.
that's not right.
Oh my god. Ooh.
Anyway, I'm gonna give a quick review. Circle K, they just got brand new coffee cocoa machines. This hot cocoa was the absolute worst thing I've ever had. It was just a hot water with spacklings of chocolate flavor. It is absolutely abysmal. I just
Yeah.
threw it into the fire. So take that.
I've got one too. I want to
Circle
do that
K.
too.
Yeah, most water-based hot chocolates aren't that great.
Yeah, it can be done good though, but just like they just got these new machines and they're like, oh, it's the big deal. You're gonna love this stuff, and I'm sure the coffee is probably better than it was before. Elias is the coffee man, so he'd know more than me how they had the beans and whatnot set up on top.
I mean, I don't know. They have. You can't really like brew that quickly and get a great product out unless it's like an espresso. But it's hard to like do an espresso and then water it down. Like I don't know how that would work.
Right.
I'd have to try it out. I don't know.
Mhm.
Did you not get a coffee?
I got it from the same machine you did, from
Oh.
the water machine.
So it was mostly water.
Yeah.
The water machine.
It was coffee, but it was mostly water.
Yeah, just hot water, and then when we ate those Pakui chips, It did not blend well together.
Oh god.
I had seltzer water, hard apple cider, and the coffee. All three were horrible to eat with hot chips in different ways.
Yeah, like I originally was just gonna get the Snapple and the chips, but then I was like, okay, maybe they're gonna fuck me up, so I'd better just have like water or something on the ready. So I got vitamin water.
Yeah. I can't say any of us are particularly like big spicy people compared to like some of the other spice pros out there.
Mm.
I like hot sauce.
I like trying it and whatnot. Like it's not always what I go for when I'm eating, but I like it.
I
for
think
the
I
most
just
part.
meant more so like tolerance.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
probably not.
oh yeah, fuck. I talk a big talk, but if you pop me with the right shit, I'll fucking cry.
I always ask for the hottest stuff at restaurants, but I always regret it.
Same. We went to
True.
that fucking. Me, George, and Devin went to that friggin' con last year, and they had a hot sauce booth, and like they had samples.
Yeah, real
lined
cool
up.
anime con like hot sauce beef jerky booth.
Yeah, it's okay. They gave free samples, so it was good.
That was the time Steven met Adam Bryce Thomas.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he said, "Hey, I follow you on my private Twitter," and you said, "Whoa!" Just like Crash Bandicoot.
I did. It was really cool because I told him my friggin' username, and he immediately got out his phone and to look it up. I wasn't anticipating that, so I was like panicking mentally. George and Devin walked the fuck away because they didn't want to see the train wreck. So, but then he was like, "Oh, I actually follow you. You did like a bunny pic not too long ago. I liked it." I was like, "Oh shit. Okay, do you want to stream sometime or something?" "Oh, okay. And we have yet to stream because that man rarely posts and he's rarely on Twitter.
It reminds me, it's my yearly time to say, I went to California to a game store in Los Angeles, and I met somebody there to talk about One Piece with, and I said, I do this podcast where we read fan fiction. You should come on it. I do it with Blue Breed. And he said, oh, I follow Blue Breed on Twitter. And I was like, what? No way. And he said, let's do it. I'll be on there. And I've never heard from him again.
Aww.
Coward!
Coward!
Curses.
Just kidding. He probably forgot the name of the podcast. But
Yeah.
Steven does post about it, so I don't know
Yeah.
why he would...
Every single bi-weekly episode that we have, Steven posts.
There
And
we
you
go.
slackers are not paying it the proper attention it deserves. All you care about's your ass and your titty. You gotta get that mind orgasm in your brain when you close your eyes and zone out to the sound of our voices, homie.
It's okay. I'll make a twerking loop to use as the visual for the podcast episodes. Just like Tut Weezy.
Let's get Tut Weezy on the podcast.
I wonder how long it would last. I feel like you'd get mad and leave.
He wouldn't
I
be
feel like
interested.
Steven would say something he's not supposed to.
I feel like Tut Weezy would say something he's not supposed to.
Oh, hell no. I did not come on this damn white-ass podcast to hear people talk shit about my SpongeBob memery.
Tut Weezy could concoct a fan fiction in real time.
He just makes it up on the fucking fly.
And,
Just lies.
Sandy, check this out. Sandy, she got them cheeks, bro. She got them cheeks.
You know, they don't call chicks for nothing. Ah.
We nod in agreement and say, yes, okay, continue. And he's like, that's all I got for now.
And
But
then,
hold on.
you guys putting the gif I made of her shaking her booty. It's real good, boy. I tell you what.
Put the gift that Blueberry made of her for me right now.
Blueberry, make a gif right now. Now.
Alright, chapter 2.
Alright, chapter 2 with Pearl. Pearl, you know, I'm gonna give her a pearl necklace, know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Put a gif in a pearl twerking that I made.
Give me a look at that clam. You know it.
I'm surprised. I really don't think he's made that joke, but that's such a funny
He
thing.
has.
Okay,
That's a direct quote.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. No, I ain't berating you or nothing, I'm just saying.
We've got the spooky atmosphere of the fire pit being burned out.
Oh yeah. Don't worry if it's an obvious joke, he's made it.
Please check out our Halloween episode from the last year as well. It was very funny.
Oh yeah.
We had a lot of fun recording it.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
And we have a lot of fun recording all these podcast episodes. So join in on the fun, why don't you? Leave some comments so we know that you're there. We like to see the words, whether they're words of encouragement or just wanted to talk about the funny stories we read. We love that stuff. We love interacting with you guys.
Our last podcast had the same number of views as we had subscribers, which was pretty cool to see.
Very true.
You guys gotta share it with your friends.
Yo,
Share it with your boys and your girls.
We gotta get more titty in the thumbnail.
We do gotta get more titty in the thumbnail.
Well,
The reason the last one did so well is because we used Steven's art, and everyone just commented on it like, where can I get that art piece?
Can I see the full?
That's funny. They probably clicked on the video hoping the sauce would be in the description. To no avail.
Oh my god. We need to do a podcast episode where we get Tutweezy on, but we just watch Tutweezy videos with Tutweezy.
Make him explain every joke as if we don't get it.
Audio only, us watching, reacting to his own content with him.
Now, Tut,
It's like if we left the recording going with Palo.
Oh my god. When we just what did we send him? We sent him food dip.
we sent food dip and the fucking compilation of Joey.
And then he came back in the call and he's posted a picture in Discord of Bob from Food Dip with the sad Brendan Fraser eyes.
Friggin' Palo works so fast.
He can shit post 1,000,000 miles an hour. He made that animated joke of Aaron in a snap.
Yeah, that's true. All those guys. I was watching him live stream that. It was very funny.
Oh yeah.
We've had Palo on. We've had Secret Narcissist on. Palo's girlfriend. She was also very funny, and I'd love to see more of her sometime.
True.
We had an actual fanfic writer, Just Sagan, on. He was also pretty funny. His stories are wild. We've read tons of them throughout this podcast.
He's a great creator. We run into him all the time in accident.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very
yeah,
true.
it just came to the point where we could tell by his the demeanor of his text who it was, and then we eventually reached out to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to come on."
Hell yeah.
If you're rich and famous and you too want to be on a podcast, DM us. I'm 90% sure the DMs are open.
Yo.
We stopped reading fanfictions a half an hour ago.
End the show.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
The trains are coming!
Hey y'all, it's Tutweezy.
Wait, hold on. Is that Tutweezy?
Hey y'all,
You
it's
can't have the shot. Tutweezy's here.
It's Tutweezy.
Tutweezy just came in on the train.
What's going on?
There he is.
He's driving the train.
The trains, don't it? And he's a fucking ho-ho. Woo.
He's got a VR headset on and a tablet in his hands. It's like he's animated while he's walking.
Fucking clapping cheeks, you know it. Fucking.
He's talking to himself at the same time.
I can't believe he looks just like his animated version in real life. That's so crazy.
Just tell it to him already.
It's just a 2D cutout of a fish background character, painted black.
He moves at 2 frames per second.
When he turns around, it's on a single frame. No one can sneak up on Tutweezy.
I thought that was an animation flaw, but I guess that's just how he lives in real life.
8 frames per second laugh, yo.
Oh shit, second train coming. Sandy Cheeks is clapping her cheeks!
Oh, here come the ass train.
It's Tutweezy's dream.
Yeah, baby.
Happy Halloween!